What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider interview studio at Fantastic Fest 2024.
Yeah.
I am so happy to be sitting with the team behind Bookworm. I feel like no Fantastic Fest is complete unless I cross paths with like you two in particular.
Aww.
It just feels right sitting here with you guys right now.
Likewise.
Thanks.
Now, finally, because someone off camera finally convinced me to come to my first Fantastic Fest last year, and now I'm obsessed like everybody else.
Well, now you have,
welcome to the
you have
club.
to be for next year as well, the 20th.
100%.
It's going to be amazing.
My life, it feels like going forward, will not be complete unless every calendar year includes a Fantastic Fest trip.
Lock it in.
And I mean it. We have to talk about your movie because your movie is absolutely delightful. So I have seen it, but because it is getting a Fantastic Fest debut, but I believe it's released elsewhere, right?
It will be released elsewhere.
Yeah.
October
you mean
18th. Oh,
it's had a screening. Yeah. It premiered at
Okay.
Fantasia. And then it's been released in New Zealand. So
That's right. It has come out in New Zealand.
It's played in London. So it's been playing around. And then, but this is like, this is kind of where it all started because this is where I met Elijah and we started our love affair.
Oh, I am going to lean into that because one of my absolute favorite things in this industry is when people find another artist and they just know like to their core that that person is going to be an ideal collaborator for me. So can you tell me a little bit about first meeting, I guess, at Fantastic Fest, and maybe also what you each saw in the other that signaled to you like, this is someone I have to stick with in this business?
I don't even know if it was a specific moment. We met at Tim League's house, and then started, hanging out. We have mutual friends, and
Yeah.
I think we initially collaborated as producers on Jim Hosking's feature directorial debut, Greasy Strangler. So that was the first time we'd worked together and collaborated, and then you had the script for Daddy.
Yeah, and I'd already worked with Medi Marie, Elijah's partner, and knew her previously when she was at another company, and we were trying to work on things together as well, and it all kind of just blended into becoming Come to Daddy, really. But yeah, I think there was nothing electric when we first met. It was like, I've got to work with this guy.
No.
I mean, I didn't even know it wasn't that. It was just hanging out, having really similar tastes and sensibilities about cinema and sometimes the world, I guess, but also just, eventually you spend enough time with people and you get comfortable and you think, hey, it'll be fun to do something together, and let's whatever ignites our creative, passions, if it all works out. Seems weird saying about passions between two blokes, but two friends.
Makes all the sense in the world to me. So
Friends first, and then I think it's really lovely to work with your friends, especially if you have shared sensibilities.
I'm a big believer in filmmaking families.
Yeah,
I always say
so
you all pour so much of your time and just your lives into making these movies, and if you are not surrounded by those kinds of people, I can't imagine it would be a creatively fulfilling experience, but also just generally life-wise.
And we had such a great experience working on Daddy, and that entire creative collaboration with the whole team was so fruitful that the prospect of just getting that creative band back together again on another film was an instant yes. Like, let's just go do that, please, and let's make it in New Zealand. I think when you find sort of a group of people who you like working with and everybody sort of shares the same sensibilities and sees eye to eye, you want to just kind of keep that rolling.
Always. Oh, I have so many follow-up questions based on what you just said. The first thing, because you've both brought up Come to Daddy, that was your last feature as a director, and now we have this. There was a pretty good gap of time between the two movies, and I always like talking about the green light process. So why the wait? Was it because you were doing other things in this space, or was there any reason this might have been a little more challenging to get off the ground?
This was actually a pretty fast turnaround from Woe to Go, but what happened was I was on another project that was supposed to kick off, and then it was a pandemic casualty, that thing. So I didn't want it to be as long as it has been. Like, it's a little bit longer than I'd like. So I had another one that fell over, and then I sort of pivoted and supported other friends' projects as well. And then Bookworm was a retaliation to like the other one not getting up. It was like, let's get back into this wilderness idea that we were talking about with Toby Harvard, the writer. And so it just came together really fast. It kind of, we had such a fun working relationship on that getting the script together. And then Elijah was the first port of call because I was like, we wrote it for Elijah because it's the type of character that with the wrong actor, it'll go horribly off the rails. And so we knew that we needed someone where the audience, no matter how far we could push the character, in terms of like, the ridiculous nature of a washed up illusionist in the south of New Zealand, we knew that the person who was going to play him had to have like really inherent likability and be able to bring a lot of sort of warmth and humanity to the character, even though he's slightly absurd in many ways. But at the heart, he's just, he's a broken man and a broken dad.
Great success with that warmth, though. It really does leap off the screen. And I'm going to get to your chemistry with Nell, which is just off the charts in a minute. But first, I kind of wanted to follow up on what Ant just said. This role was written specifically for you. How does that change your mentality when you jump into a character? Does that create more or less pressure because it was crafted for you?
Maybe more, but no, certainly not less. Not less. I don't take any of those things for granted. And if anything, it's like if someone is sort of handing me the baton with the fact that I was considered from the beginning, I take that so seriously and want to deliver. And this character, not unlike Norval from Come to Daddy, is quite particular. Is coming from a real specific world and sort of wanting to bring that to life in a realistic way, also slightly absurd way. So he's a magician, he's an illusionist. There are no specific tricks that we actually have to pull off in the script, or that I had to do in camera necessarily, but I wanted it to be believable that I knew what to do with cards and card dexterity and fanning and shuffling. So I did work with a magician prior to shooting for about a month. This guy, Mike Pisciato, who's amazing, incredible close-up magician in Los Angeles, who just kind of did all of those things for me. So I felt like I could handling cards looked like a thing that I knew how to do.
Can you still do it? Because whenever I learn a new skill like that, I study, and I can ace it for the test or the film, and then everything goes kind of like in one ear and out the other.
I'm kind of a little bit like you, and I think I doubt I would be nearly as good. I'd have to give it a little bit of practice.
You should have had a deck of cards ready to go.
I wish I had a test on the spot for you, but it looks great in the film.
Thank you.
And I wanted to come back your way to talk about the evolution of your directing skills from Come to Daddy to this. I'll turn this into a big old two-parter. What is something you were able to accomplish on Bookworm as a director that came from the skills you gained making Come to Daddy? But then,
great question.
I'm not finished with it yet. I hope it's still great, not too convoluted. So that's part one. Part two would be, can you tell me a new challenge you experienced on this film that left you with another tool that you'll take to your next film as a director?
Ooh. Okay. So I think the biggest takeaway from the first one, and the weird thing is, I forgot everything that I learned on the first one. So that's the caveat to start all this with. But to not panic and that everything's going to work out, and for everything that feels like a roadblock or an obstacle, it's going to actually potentially usually work out in your favor. And so that meant to have that sort of approach mentally, honestly, it can really alleviate the stress of the unknown a lot of time. So and having more time to prep, obviously it takes off a lot of that internal anxiety that comes with any production.
You were the whole production was so
prepared. It was we had more the luxury of more time. It was in our backyard. The last time I got just dropped, like paratrooped into an island
we shot on Vancouver Island
in the North Pacific, just dropped on an island and didn't know hardly anyone, so it was a bit different. Whereas this one, it felt like a gathering of real loyal troops that had all worked together before. And so that was kind of the key component. And this one, the taking away is, honestly, there's a few effects in this film that was a completely new sort of area of domain to play with. Now I know what to do. Let's just say that I definitely would do things differently on when approaching it again. But also, we did a little bit of Rennie Harlan action on this one, which was kind of awesome, fun, and would love to kind of play in that area a little bit more of stunt stuff. But I don't know. It was weird. We made a kind of brutal family movie in some parts. It's definitely not your typical a G-rated family-friendly fare. There's some dark overtones in this one, and we don't pander to kids. We totally treat them as on the same lines as any adult watching it.
Truly top tier gateway genre movie for a young moviegoer out there who might not be able to jump in full force just yet, but wants to, tiptoe into that zone.
Yeah.
I always appreciate that.
I do too. And we certainly grew up watching movies like that, and they're made a little bit less and less these days. So to have something that does work for adults as much as it does for kids and can be a fun little gateway of like, there's things beyond this if you're interested, is really fun.
Oh, that's making me think of this question that I had jotted down just for fun, because it's brought up in the movie. When you two were kids, what posters did you have hanging up on your walls?
I wasn't a poster person.
God, my memory's so bad. I did have posters on my wall.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what it would be. When I was a teenager, it was definitely like movie posters. When I was in my first year at college, it was all Creepshow and Cujo and stuff like that. But when I was super young, it might have been Leif Garrett, kind of like a skateboarder, kind of that kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, I think it was more of that sort of.
It would have been music for me.
Yeah. No, I wasn't a music kid. I was definitely film from early on. Oh, you know what I did have? I had Terrence Hill. I had a man crush on Trinity. That dude, those spaghetti westerns, love those.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely had one of those.
Yeah, I didn't have any movie posters up as a kid. Okay. And I didn't even have I didn't adorn my room with posters. It's really funny. I don't know why.
Oh, I get that. Do you have any posters now?
Loads. I mean, I've got tons of old Mondo posters.
I was going to say you're definitely a Mondo collector now that I said that.
Yeah. And my wife got me an incredible, I think it's Empire Strikes Back, the Polish poster. Or it's either Empire or Star Wars, where it's just, it's a two-tone, it's black and gold, and it's C-3PO. The poster is just C-3PO. It's fucking amazing. It's so great.
I have a Game of Thrones Mondo one that is done in like a similar style and color palette. So if it's what I'm picturing, that's probably gorgeous. Awesome. Is it weird to tell you I had a big old faculty poster hanging on my wall growing up?
That's cool.
It is the coolest.
I love that movie. That movie was the film that introduced me to Austin, Texas, and where I went, because that was still when there was only one Alamo, and it was the original location on Colorado Street. Yes. And I remember going to the Alamo and seeing like the notion of food and drink. I was too young to drink alcohol, but that idea at a movie theater was a totally novel thing, and seeing rep titles. So I remember I was still am a huge fan of Halloween, and they did a screening of Halloween, and that was the first time I was at the Alamo.
That's why I'm always at an Alamo draft house. New movies, old movies, good vibes, good food.
Yep.
And no talking and no cell phones. That's the best rules ever. I have one more obnoxious question that's based on something that's brought up in the movie. I want to know what you each think is the greatest franchise of all time. I have to remove one specific franchise from the equation. Okay. You can't say Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
But it could be like...
I'm not going to say Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
I'll divest myself, because that doesn't feel fair. Go ahead.
Oh, it's obviously the Leprechaun series. That's where I'm going.
You own that answer. I'll take that then.
I remember seeing the original Leprechaun. There's an actor in it who I worked with on a movie called Forever Young, and he when we were working on Forever Young, he went to a cast and crew screening of the original Leprechaun, and I went to see it.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
I mean, like every franchise, you've got to end.
Robert Gorman, I think the actor's name is. Yeah. He's great.
They've got to end in space, right? So, which is your one?
Oh, I
the
like
greatest
this
franchise. I mean, if I see where we are. We're in horror.
Fast and Furious could apply. They do go to space eventually.
Right? They do. I mean, for movies that go to space, Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I mean, Jason X is.
I rewatched that movie
legendary.
More times than I'm willing to
the
admit
kills in
right
that movie
now.
are totally amazing.
Yeah.
I can't say it's genuinely my favorite, but I do like.
It's top tier.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's good.
I'm a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan.
We need another one of those.
And I agree. And I think Dream Warrior. I mean, when was the last time you saw Dream Warriors?
Fairly recently.
That movie holds up remarkably well.
I watched
It's
Dream
so
Warriors and A
goddamn
New
good.
Nightmare over and
New
over.
Nightmare is
and
also a
over.
masterpiece.
Yeah.
Chuck Russell he's just relaunched an old franchise. He's just remade. He did Witchboard,
Oh, right.
which premiered at Fantasia.
How is it?
I didn't see it.
Okay.
I gotta look out for that.
I did not know that there was a remake.
I'm going to end with 2 questions here. I want to make sure to highlight Nell's work because
Oh, she's so incredible in the film. I mean,
truly
she is the
top
lead
tier.
of the movie.
she's so good.
Yeah.
And like
she
seeing
is.
this and also like the 1-2 punch of this and Evil Dead Rise,
Yeah.
just something else. I know she's going places. I'll give you this question, Elijah, because you obviously had great success as a young star in this industry. But one of the things that I love most is that with every new generation, we have new approaches, new skill sets, and the craft just keeps evolving. So is there anything you saw her do on this set that made you go like, my God, I wish I thought to do that when I was her age?
She came so prepared. She came with the script memorized, which is something I don't do, to where I was like, I should maybe do that. Like, and I think I have had that thought before, but I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. But she did it. Like, she came with an immense amount of preparation, and I found that extremely admirable. And it made her so, that preparation allows you to sort of relax when you work, and it's such an important part of the process. She's amazing. And also, you know, as professional as she was, she came with all of that skill, but she also was a joy and found enjoyment in the process and an enjoyment in the relationship between these 2 characters. It was awesome.
I love your dynamic together.
Oh,
Just
thanks,
like a
me too.
really, really strong beating heart for this movie. So when you go to those darker places or even more extreme places, it always feels justified and grounded. And I think it's because of that connection you 2 strike.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm going to end on an unrelated question. You're the only one, I think, at this whole festival getting any question from me about an upcoming project. And it's because I'm obsessed with Stephen King.
Oh,
And you're in the monkey. I'm also a little obsessed with Oz Perkins, like many
Same,
people
as
are
they should
right
be.
now. So a lot of people are thinking about Oz because of Longlegs and how well it did.
I'm just thrilled that people are finally... Listen, Oz has been
Yes.
quietly ticking away and making extraordinary genre films for years. And I've long wondered when he was going to have his moment, and it's just thrilling
It's about time.
that he finally is, and he deserves it. He's an extraordinary atmosphere master, an incredible filmmaker, and a great writer. So this is an exciting time.
What is something you saw him do on the set of The Monkey that might speak to why he is such a one-of-a-kind voice behind the lens?
You know what I'll tell you, working with him, because I've known him personally a little bit prior to him asking me to come and join that. And by the way, I'm in the tiniest little moment in that movie, but I was struck. First of all, he's extremely generous and kind. He's a really sweet person. And he's a great collaborator. He lets everyone kind of do their job. He's very confident on set, but he also is very relaxed. The environment was so warm and kind, and his crew is super lovely. So I think I was really impressed by that. Like, he hires right, and he trusts his collaborators. And yeah, just as I don't know that there was like a moment of like, oh, he's got this particular ability. He wrote a great script and cast really good actors, and that I got to work with. Now, I'm not referring to myself, but a great group of
It'd
people.
be justified if you did.
No, I would never. But yeah, and I'm stoked for that, because the Monkey is unlike anything he's made. It's a really gory comedy, and he's not known for that. And he wrote something really fun. So I'm excited for people
big
to see it.
fan of the rise of Stephen King's short story adaptations,
Great.
or like the re-rise. Like
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like there's
Yeah,
been
there's
some
been
in
a
the
few
past,
eras, yeah.
but like in
Yeah.
particular, I feel like the last calendar year between the Boogeyman, Life of Chuck, and now this, we're seeing a significant amount, and it's so exciting because it's like you get to honor great source material, but there's also so much space to bring your own voice to
Exactly.
it, and bringing your own voice to it is justified in that way.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited for everyone to experience Bookworm. Congratulations on the movie, and thank you for sharing some of your experience with us.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
very
Those
much.
questions were incredible.
Yeah.
To everybody out there, keep an eye out for Bookworm, and also so much more from Fantastic Fest 2024 coming your way very, very soon.